Hello everybody, it is Jeanette. It's Jeanette from Thermogroovers. Welcome to my first 2026 live event. Happy New Year everybody. Alright, I'm just going to wait for everybody to join. And I'm just going to cut some chicken up because I've got to make something for dinner tonight. I've got my TM7 in the background. And I'm just doing a clean in that, ready to make some yogurt. So I'm just going to get the milk out of the fridge whilst I think of it. So I didn't have any white vinegar left, so I've just used some citric acid. So some of you use, I don't know whether you've used citric acid to clean your Thermomix, but it's a really good ingredient to do that with. Hello there, Marie. Hello, Vicky. Greetings and welcome and welcome. I'll just get this out of the pantry again. So if you don't have some of this in your pantry, citric acid, it's really good. I have this because I use it in homemade cordial when I use that. It's in a lot of cooking, so citric acid is great. Hello Diane, nice to see you joining as well. Hello Sharon, good to see you too. So I'm using this instead of the vinegar because I haven't got any vinegar and I didn't want to use my rice wine vinegar because that's a little bit too expensive. So I've just put a teaspoon of that in with the water. And I've just got it on steaming mode, which is Varoma temperature. So for those that have crossed over from a 6 to a 7, Varoma temperature now has its own mode on the TM7. Welcome everyone, I can see everyone joining now. Yay, Happy New Year. I hope you all had a great Christmas and a nice little break. I had a little break, which has been wonderful, on top of my recovery. And so I'm back at it again, right? So I'm just going to cut this chicken up. I'm doing Mum's curried chicken pies tonight, but I'm not actually going to do the pies tonight. I'm going to do them tomorrow night, but I'm going to make the filling tonight, and I'm having some of the filling for dinner with some rice, which reminds me I need to get the rice out of the cupboard. Here we go. Jeez, there's not much of that left. I have to do a refill. And so we'll have that tonight for dinner. Oh God, I can't talk. Hello Cheryl. I hope it's warmed up over there in the UK. Hello Gail, good to see you too. I'm looking forward to Monday. All right, let's get started. I'm going to cut this chicken up. I need a bowl to put it in. A bowl. I need a bowl to put it in. I need to take a little bit of Nigella lesson, don't I? With my pronunciation. Anyway, I hope you've all had a great time using your Thermomixes. Some of you have upgraded to your TM7. Congratulations. Some of you have onboarded with the TM6. And some of you have still got your original baby that you first started with. Go you. Now, I'm just going to cut this up with my trusty knife that are no longer on the mix shop, and I don't know that they're actually ever going to come back, which is a bit sad because these knives have been very, very popular. So I believe the mix shop's a little bit bare sometimes in comparison to what it used to be, but I think they have a plan. So I'm going to a leadership conference in, when is that? March. So there'll be the powers that be at the leadership conference, so that's a question I'm asking, to find out what are their plans for our wonderful mix shop, because sometimes it looks like it's a bit boring in there, right? Yeah, okay, I'm going to go back and read everybody's comments after I've finished on the live tonight. So hopefully they'll restock the mix shop to have a few more items on there that we can add to our kitchen. Not that we need a lot of stuff in our kitchen, but anyway. Thank you, Raylene. It's really nice to be back with you. I have some great news. I'm actually going to be a nan again. In the middle of the year, I'm expecting my son and his partner to have a baby. And so that's going to be happening in June. So how exciting is that? I can't wait. Anyway, it's all happening in my life. It's just wonderful. All right, so I haven't even weighed this chicken. I'm just going to cook whatever I reckon. All right, I think it's, I don't know what's in the recipe. What have I got? 500 grams. 500 grams chicken, but often I do way more, right? Now, if you're here for the very first time, all my recipes that I'm making tonight are from the ebooks that I've published. So you can head to thermogroovers.com.au and you can download your copy of them. Yes, whoop whoop, Gillian, I agree. And look, I do all of my cooking manually. So whether it's on the 7 or the 6 or previously, like on the 5 or the 31, I believe everyone needs to learn how to manually cook in their Thermomixes. So my recipe is you follow them manually. So Amy asked me tonight if I could do a setup with the TM7 with the yogurt, and because she seemed to think that it was a little bit different, and I'm trying to work out what's different. The only thing that's really different is that you have to sterilise your bowl, or deep clean your bowl. It's not sterilising if you get technical. With using the steaming mode instead of Varoma temperature. That's the only thing that's really different. Let me put this chicken in the fridge, and I can deal with that. I can have that with some crispy fried chicken seasoning tomorrow, maybe. Now these bowls, these come off the mix shop. I don't know, how many of you actually have these bowls? They're brilliant. They've got a little lid that goes on top of them. Let me show you. I don't know that I've actually showcased these, but let me do it now. So they've got these little lids that'll fit on top, and so you can pop them in the fridge and you don't have to use a Glad wrap on top of them. And I love them. There's 3 different sizes. Let me show you. They come in a little collection, and my husband always puts them to the back of the cupboard. He's got his special bowls that he likes to use. So that's the big one. How many litres is that? 4.5 litres, so you can fit quite a bit in that. And then there's the one in between, and they sit inside one another, so they actually stack really nicely in the cupboard. So, hello Fiona, nice to see you too. Lorraine, do you have these? Yes, absolutely. Yes, Nora Rayleigh, that's Nora. Nora, little baby. I was with Nora today, just for a little while, while Amy had an appointment. And I had a lovely time with her. She's just beautiful. I love her so much. All right, they're the bowls. So this is the chicken. You use them, Ray? Fantastic. I feel that those bowls are really quite handy, given that they've got a lid that fits on them. Right, let me get that out. That's the Thermomix that's finished doing its thing. And I'm going to keep the water, because why not, right? You can keep the deep clean water that you've had in your Thermomix to deep clean it before you do your yogurt, and then you can just reuse it again. Right, let me just take it out. There we go. I haven't warmed the glass jar up either, so hopefully it doesn't crack. Oh, that just fits. Look at that. Perfect. So I just rinse it out, and then that's ready to do my yogurt. And look, the only reason I have 2 of these is because I have 2 machines, right? Afternoon, Wendy. Nice to see you. I'll sit that water over there out of the way, and I'll just give this a rinse and set this one aside so I don't dirty it, right? Heather, you've got a set of those bowls too. You haven't used them yet. You're still unpacking your kitchen. Oh, that sounds exciting. Unpacking a new kitchen. All right, we'll just wipe that out with a clean tea towel, and then we're good to go with the yogurt. Right, and I better get on with the cooking. Yes, the lid, Lorraine, is so helpful, isn't it? So you can put your marinades in there if you want to, or put in the esky, or you can put liquids in there, and they're not going to slop everywhere. So it's really quite handy. They're quite handy. You love them too, Dana. Oh, I think they're a great little add-on when you're in the mix shop, right? You go on to get a Thermomix brush. Whoops! Some bowls fell in my cart. There's lots of things that fall in the cart. All right, I'm just going to get my thermomat out and ready to do some bread, because I'm going to put some bread in the freezer. I don't want to cook it tonight because it's hot here, and I don't really need bread at the moment. But I do need some in the freezer, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay? No, Fiona, no cocktails tonight. That's Friday night, right? It's a drink at the sink while I cook from the book on Friday night. That's the reward for getting through the week, right? My reward part of my brain really looks forward to that. Okay, let's get on to the cooking. So I'm going to whip up the chocolate cake, the melt and mix chocolate cake. So it's JP's melt and mix chocolate cake out of book number 2, Way More for Your Family. And it's a delicious chocolate cake recipe. Melt and mix method is just the quickest method to make any sort of cake, right? So if ever you see a melt and mix method, you'll do it in your Thermomix. It's just so quick, and it's often really moist, right? The small lid doesn't seal properly, and Thermomix was no help. Narelle, what's the problem there? If it's not sealing properly, there's a problem with the lid, you need to keep replying to them until they replace it, right? I would do that. All right, we're just going to make the ganache first. And I've kept the cream in the fridge so it's nice and cold and didn't warm up. If you're going to make butter with your cream, it's also really important to keep your cream chilled until you're ready to whip it up into butter. Make sure I've got the right one. Yes, that's the right one. So we make the ganache first. So in goes the dark chocolate and a bit of cream. So this recipe is on page, what's it on? Page 87 in book number 2. Now you can make this into muffins if you want to. So if you're looking at portion control because you don't have self-control, you might want to make these into muffins, right? They do, Wendy. They make the best cupcakes. Do you put the ganache on top or do you use buttercream icing on top? Because you can put buttercream icing on top of them if you want to. Or you can whip the ganache up. So if you let the ganache sort of thicken, whether it's in the fridge or on the bench. Now, in the recipe, it says to use 70% cocoa cooking chocolate. Today, I'm using 45% because Woolies didn't have any, so they gave me that one. So what happens, the ganache will take longer to actually thicken at room temperature, so you've got to put it in the fridge for a little bit. But just be mindful, it can go hard. And so if it does go hard, just put a heat pack underneath it or sit it in a shallow sink of warm water just for it to warm, and then you can mix it up with a fork, right? But if you want to whip it, you can put it back into the Thermomix with the butterfly and whip it up, and it sort of becomes a little bit like butter icing. There you go. How's that? Well, that's no help, Narelle. If it's out of warranty in July, you're done. Sorry about that. Cheryl, you did that and they replaced it straight away. Yeah, it has to be within the warranty time frame. I get it. Yep. Spot on. Right, let's put this on. Nobody will replace anything unless it's still in warranty. That's just the rules, right? So I'm just going to put this on for 5 minutes at a low temperature. And I've started using my Thermomix with 2 fingers because, here we go, I've got to put the time on. Because the screen's so big, you can start typing on it like you do an iPad. It's really cool. Oh, Wendy, you do make the ganache. Awesome. I think it's simple. And you can make it without having to make any more washing up because you're dirtying your bowl to start with. So you may as well, that's why I've put it first in the recipes, to make the ganache first, so then you don't have to wash the bowl up. So then you just go on to making the cake. All right, now you can make this gluten-free as well. So you just substitute the flour. That's all you have to do with this cake. So often in baking, it's easier to substitute flours than what it is in bread making. So with baking, like cakes and things, it's often just a swap over with a good quality gluten-free flour. And I like the Well and Good gluten-free flour. That's my preferred flour. Okay, so right, what have I missed? Nothing. Diane, you love the melt and mix cake. Awesome. I'm pleased you love that. Right, we're going to whip up some bread in the TM6. So I've got some water to go in, and I've pre-weighed all of this because I do all of this before I actually come on live with you guys. It takes me around about 3/4 an hour to do all of my pre-weighing and setup. All right, we'll put this on for a couple of minutes. Now, I have had lots of questions about my bread, and there was one comment that I actually read under a question, and it was the comment about loving a 1-proof loaf of bread, because most breads usually have to proof twice, but they love this recipe because it's a 1-proof loaf, and that's what I actually love about it as well. I'm so pleased we can get a loaf of bread or some bread rolls done without having to proof it twice. It's brilliant. Hello there, Di. Nice to see you joining. All right, this is for the ganache. I'm going to set the ganache aside in there. I've got the chicken ready to cook in a second. And then the next thing to go into the bread is a bit of yogurt. Now, I had a little bit of, can you see the whey in there? You see the runniness there? There was a little bit of that left in my yogurt container. So I just included that in the measurement of yogurt because you don't want to throw the whey out. Include it in your bread when you make it, because I don't want you tipping it down the sink. That's a waste, right? Hello, Yvonne. Nice to see you joining as well. So the yogurt's going to go in. Now, you can use the vanilla yogurt in a lot of the savoury recipes. You're not going to pick up the vanilla flavour. So if you're worried that you have to make vanilla and Greek don't stress. Just make one or the other. So I've been using vanilla because we're on a vanilla roll at the moment. Tonight I'm making Greek yogurt, so that's why I've got the milk out to do the Greek yogurt. So I'm back to having both in the fridge, which is, you know, what we normally do. Right, so that's up to 37 now. So I'm just going to pop the yogurt in. There we go. So if it's set for 2 minutes and the temperature's set to heat at 37, if you can see it's reached 37 degrees before the 2 minutes is up, just stop it and keep going on with the next step. Right? You don't have to let it go for the full 2 minutes if it's already reached the desired temperature. Right, we'll just mix that through. I'll put these straight in my dishwasher. There we go. And then I'll just throw in the flour, and there's a little bit of bread improver which activates the gluten in the flour. So if you haven't got bread improver, you can use apple cider vinegar and equal portions. So it's 2 teaspoons of bread improver, so 2 teaspoons. Hello Rhonda, you'll watch the replay. Awesome. Cheers to you. You can use equal amounts of apple cider vinegar. All right, in goes the next lot of goodies, and we'll just put this on to knead for a few minutes. And then I'm going to shape up the rolls, and these rolls are going into the freezer. And I did give this little tip at Christmas time that you can freeze the bread once you've shaped it up. So a lot of people didn't, oh, hang on, I've got to put the time on. A lot of people didn't realise you can do that, but yes you can, and it works a treat. So you can have a supply of bread rolls in the freezer, and you can just get 2 or 3 out and cruise them if you want to and cook them, or you can get like a dozen out. Thank you, Joanne. I'm in my green machine shirt tonight. I love this shirt. I want to find another one because when I wear it out, I'm going to miss it. But I love the colour in summer. It's beautiful. All right, we'll get this ready. And then the ganache, that's all done. So I can tip that out and continue to make the cake. So it says a little bit of cream still on top. That won't matter. We'll swirl that around. And what do I have on that? Bread. Yogurt. Okay, I'll get another spatula out. I've left my TM7 spatula at a customer's place, so I've only got one TM7 spatula at the moment, so I'm back to using my regulars, right? Lovely to see you too, Julianne. Welcome back. All right, we've got our ganache there, all done. Now, if you're watching the replay, let me know. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And I hope it's not too hot or too wet where you are. I did notice today that there's areas in Australia that are still having incredible amounts of rain. We haven't had that down in Tassie. We've had incredible, I'm going to say incredible heat, but in comparison to other people that have just been through the fires, it was nothing. We had nothing. We were very, very fortunate. So, all right, ganache is there. I'm just going to pop it in the fridge because it's got the lower percentage of cocoa in it, so it's only 45%, and I like to use 70 because it's just richer and nicer. All right, so we just proceed with making the cake. So this is where you don't even worry about washing your bowl, right? You just keep going. So in go the chocolate, in goes the sugar, in goes the milk and the butter, right? So it all goes in together. This is why I love this recipe, because you just throw it all in and put it on to warm up, right? In goes the bicarb. So there's a little bit of bicarb in it as well. And when this heats up, you'll notice it'll start to foam. So don't panic. It's all part of the recipe. So we'll just put this on. And that can start doing its thing. That's too fast, Jeanette. You need to have it slow. I'll just put these in the dishwasher. There we go. As I go. Fill that up. I do love my dishwasher. All right, so that's on, ready to go. Have I got everything else in there? Yes. So the only other things to go in are the yogurt, the eggs, and the flour. That's it. And I'm putting it in a springform tin. So I think this is like a 22 or 23 centimetre tin. I actually haven't put any butter around it, so I need to do that. Heather, your family absolutely love the bread rolls. You turn them into cheese and bacon rolls. Even the neighbours are waiting on a batch. You are most welcome. I'm so pleased you love the recipe. It's a winner, isn't it? So quick and easy to make. Yep. Oh, you're a little bit chilly in Dunedin today in New Zealand, Debbie. Or I think, you know, you guys over there get a little bit cooler weather, but sometimes when it's hot, it's really hot, right? You're going to make the chocolate cake, Margaret, because you've got your grandkids staying. Awesome. I'm sure they will love them hot out of the oven. And who was it that said it? Was it Heather? She can put cheese and bacon on them. So you can make them into anything, really. They're brilliant. I'm thinking you could even use my bread recipe to do little pockets so you can stuff them. So if you roll them, like if you just spread them out into a disc, put some flavours in the middle and then just fold them over and then sit them on a tray and let them prove. They're like little pizza pockets, right? So you could easily do that, no problems at all. All right, once the bread's done, I'm going to start making the filling for the curry chicken pies. And before I do the yoghurt, I'm actually going to do some rice as well. So my rice method is a little bit different than what's on Cookie Do. Joanna, I'm doing Mum's Curried Chicken Pies from Way More Than a Yoghurt recipe. I'm doing JP's Melt and Mix chocolate cake from Way More for Your Family. I'm doing the sour Yough Bread from the first book, which is Way More Than a Yoghurt recipe. And what else have I got? And I'm making a batch of yoghurt. Just Greek yoghurt tonight, right? So, what was the substitute? Apple cider vinegar, Leanne. ACV. If you see ACV anywhere, it means apple cider vinegar, right? That's what you're after. All right, bread's all done. So I'm going to tip that out. So wiggle it just a little bit. Turn your bowl upside down. Give it a wiggle. That's how I release a lot of things from the bowl. So when I'm doing biscuit mixtures, mincing meat or what else, rissoles or anything like that, I just turn the bowl upside down and give it a little wiggle. Now that's, because it's warm in my kitchen tonight, that's actually a little bit sticky. And then when you've got that little bit left over, I don't worry fighting the blade. I just turn it up to high speed, give it a dry spin. That wasn't even for a second, but it's long enough. And then you can get around the outside. See? So much easier. So you can just take a blob of dough and then run it around the inside of the bowl, right? That's all we need to do. And it's easy to get out. Right. Now I'm just working out what I want to do next because I want to saute the chicken off, and doing it in the 7 is a little bit easier than doing it through a guided recipe on Cookie Do, which is the step in the book. Now if you've got a TM7, you can still follow the recipes as per the steps in the book, right? It doesn't change because I actually get everyone to access the high heat cooking, which is browning. I get you to access that through a Cookie Do step, all right? So it's exactly the same, but if you want to, you can just use your browning mode. But the difference is knowing how long to do it for. So the Cookie Do step will give you the guided amount of time, whereas if you're just using browning mode on your TM7, you'll have to put the time in yourself. The default time is 10 minutes, so I usually go like 13 minutes. All right, now do I want to wash that out? I'm just going to saute chicken in it, so I'm not going to wash it out. All right, now if you're, some of you go, no, you need to wash it. Definitely not. Like, I had this conversation with someone recently. If the flavours work together, it doesn't really matter, right? Your yogurt's turning out in the 7. Awesome. It was fantastic. It's not turning out in the 7, Yvonne. Tell me more about that, because it should be. There's really no difference. The difference that I have had for people is the change in the milk. So, hello there, Paul. Good to see you on. Should have mentioned, made the Greek yogurt on Monday, always absolute dish. I would love know how much money I have saved. I've actually got that in my notes. Somebody asked me that during January and I did a quick calculation and I can't remember off the top of my head, and my phone's up there, so I can't even look it up. But I can tell you. So I'll go back, Julianne, and answer your question so you know how much money you're saving. All right? And whoever it was there was saying that their yogurt's not working in the 7. It's not to do with the 7. It's to do with other factors, right? So I can help you brainstorm that. It's something I'm really good at, right? It's just a bit of thickener. It's just jumpy. It's just jumpy. You mean lumpy. Yes, add a bit more thickener. So the milk powder. So we need to talk about your milk powder. We need to talk about the difference in the milk. There's so many variations as to what can change your yogurt. So welcome to my world of creating a Thermomix yogurt recipe. The variations of how your yogurt can turn out will depend on so many different things. So many things, right? Okay, what have we got there? Okay, that's ready to go. So what we've got here, I don't know whether you can see, it's really quite fluffy, the mixture. So it's like boil and bubble, right? It's not boiling, it's not done at 100 degrees. Next thing to go in is the eggs and the yogurt and the flour. I'm just going to put it all in together tonight because I really can't be fussed doing a second step. So let's put it all in together and then we just mix it through. And we don't worry about cooling anything down, we just keep going. There we go. And I actually have the oven on. Can you believe it? I remembered to turn the oven on. You guys often have to ask me, Jeanette, have you got the oven on? There we go. That's all going in together. And then we'll just do a quick mix. Done. Where's my cloth? It's here somewhere. Oh, here we are. I thought I lost it. Rightio. That's long enough. Now, whatever's left around the bowl, just incorporate that by hand, right? Just do it with your spatula. But as you can see, it's all done, right? Doesn't take long. There's a little bit of yogurt left on there. Let's mix that through. There we go. And then we'll just pour it into the tin. Now you need to give this a little tap on the bench to get rid of the air bubbles. So let me point the camera down so you can see a little bit better. Lisa, this one is JP's Melt and Mix chocolate cake. So it's about, oh, I didn't put the butter around the outside of the spring tin. I haven't got the paper around the outside, so let me just steal a bit of this paper from the butter and run that just around the outside. There we go. Because if I don't do it, it's going to stick, right? And then I say, oh, I wish I did it. Even though it's in a non-stick springform tin, sometimes they still stick, right? So we'll pour that into the tin. Now this cake will drop a little bit once it comes out of the oven. Don't stress about that. It's all part of how the cake turns out. It doesn't flop. I wouldn't give you a recipe that flops. It just drops a little bit. It's sort of a bit like, you know, when you do your hair and it's sitting up nicely in the mirror, and then when you get in the car and look in the mirror, it's dropped a bit. It's kind of the same. There we go. Right, I'm just going to spin that off. And you can use turbo or you can use speed 10, whichever you like. I'm just going to go 10, just a second or two, and then I can scrape it out. There we go. And I just want to lick the spatula. Karen, does anyone else take notes whilst you're watching? I'm sure there's lots of people that take notes, and then there's lots of people that would like everyone's notes because they forgot to write the notes, right? There's all those people. Yes, butter the tin. Thanks, Raylene. You're a good girl for reminding me. All right, so we've got a nice clean blade there. And then we just do a little scrape. All right. There we go. And then I'll just put some water in it and give it a quick wash, and we'll move on to doing the next thing. There we go. Which is, oh, I can probably cook some rice now. I might do that actually. And I'll do it in the TM7. There we go. So I just put that on to do a pre-clean. There we go. Clean away, baby. Clean away. Now I must say, this 7 is a lot quieter when it comes to doing the cleaning because you don't actually hear the motor in the TM7. Whereas your 6, you know, it lets you know it's there in the kitchen because you can hear it, right? Now I'm just going to give this a little tap on the bench. That's a good idea, Wendy. Wendy watches the replay on YouTube and then she writes down the hints and the tips. Good on you, Wendy. All right. Bubbles are out. Into the oven it goes, right? Thanks, Nicole. I'm summary today. Okay, in it goes. Don't forget the timer. I can't even remember how long it cooks for, but I'll put 25 on it. I think it's a little bit longer than that. I'll have a look in the book. There we go. What's it say? What does Jeanette say? Jeanette says... I have to turn the page. can't remember. I haven't made it for ages because I haven't really been eating those sorts of foods through the summer, well, since Christmas, because we've been cleaning up all the other, yes, it's 25 minutes. I've been cleaning up all the dregs of Christmas, right? And then because we ate so much at Christmas time, I'm like, ooh, I need to pull it back a bit now. So I don't sort of continue on eating the same and undo all the good work that I've done before I have my hip operation, right? Okay, I'm going to divide this up in a second, but I'm going to put the chicken on now, so we'll do that. Cheryl, you love the new long spatula on the TM7. It's great for scraping, isn't it? Like, it's absolutely brilliant. I love it as well. So I wasn't quite sure what I'd sort of, think when I first got it, but I do. I love it because it's just, you get a lot, like the length of the spatula is more like that one. So it's awesome. All right, we're going to put in, I'm going to go into my bookmarks on my TM6 because that's where I've got all of my high heat options. So I'm just going to go in and do the chicken, and I'm going to jump to that step there. So we're just going to put in the oil. Did you know you can jump the steps? You can actually scroll up and look at the prep steps. If you want to miss the first step, you can go to the second step. So you just press on it. I'm not sure everyone knows about that. There we go. Skip the bacon. I'm not doing that. Now I'm just going to put the chicken in all together. Let's see how much I've got. Because it's supposed to be 500 grams. I don't know what I put in there. 640, right? That'll work. Bit of salt and pepper. And then we're set to go. So we can just start. Now I do add a little bit of extra time to this. Particularly if I've got, a little bit extra in there. And I can't find my splash guard. I don't know where it's gone to. So I'm just going to use my simmering basket. There we go. That'll work. All right, salt and pepper can sit over there. So chicken's on, and in this one, I'm actually going to do some rice, but I'll do the bread first because it's starting to grow and it's still quite warm. So can you see what I'm doing? Nicole, you're trying to encourage the summer too. You're off to Hobart in the morning for Jimmy Barnes. Oh, that sounds good. I like a bit of Jimmy. He's one of my favourites, particularly his older songs, because that's what we grew up with, right? So I'm going to do this into thirds, and these are not equal portions. If you want to make them equal, you can weigh them on your Thermomix so that you're getting them exactly the same size, right? And then this is how I like to do them. I just roll them around like this so they get this really nice top on them, and they're the perfect shape. So what I do, I put them on like a Tupperware lid or like a container tray or something. Last time I did this on, I think it was this one, that's right. I'm just going to use this, right? I'll put a piece of paper on it, a bit of Glad Bake, and then I just wrap it in, Glad Wrap and freeze it. So I just sit them on there like that. Okay, so when you sit them in the freezer, they're going to sit nice and flat and, not get jumbled up, and make sure nothing sits on top of them until they're perfectly frozen. Otherwise, you'll end up with pancakes. And then how I actually sit them is so when I sit them on the tray, when they prove, they just go straight into the oven. So I don't like to move them too much, but you can move them and just put them in a plastic bag if you want to, right? Oh, Renee, my little sister's watching from Townsville. She remembers the photo I had taken with Jimmy Barnes. I was rubbing shoulders with the celebs. He pinched me on the backside too. Whoopsies. It's because I was being cheeky. All right. Okay. I won tickets to go and listen to Jimmy Barnes at this Festival of Life concert, and you had to ring up the local radio station to win the tickets, but you had to scream like Jimmy Barnes. And my kids was like, Mum, you should ring up and do that. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it after I drop you off at school. So I did. I stopped on the side of the road, rang the radio station, got through, and gave them my best Jimmy Barnes impersonation. So I won the competition on the day, and at the end of the week, they got everyone's from the daily winners. They put them all together, and Jimmy Barnes picked the winner, and it was me. There you go. Oh dear. Hello Marlene, nice to see you joining. All right, I am doing the bread rolls. Now if these are too sticky, put some oil on your hands. Don't put extra flour on them, all right? You don't want to flour them up. You can sprinkle some flour on them before you bake them. They look really nice when they come out of the oven with a sprinkling of flour on them. But you don't want to put any more flour into the recipe. So oil your hands up and then they're easier to handle, right? They're lovely and fluffy. I'm going to have a go at making these into bao buns because I think they're the perfect mixture for bao buns. And there's a really nice recipe on Cookie Doo. It's leftover roast bao buns. So you can use your leftover roast meat to make the mixture that goes in them. And they actually make the hoisin sauce from scratch. You don't have to make that bit if you don't want to, if you've already got hoisin in the fridge. There we go. So what I'm going to do now, I don't want them to prove anymore. So I'm just going to put them in the fridge and then I'll cover them with Glad wrap and then put them in the freezer. Okay, and then I can just pull them out and let them prove at any old time. All right. So that's another little helpful tip. Let me just put that, whoops, let me put that in there. Good, awesome, that's done. All right, this is all washed up. So let's put the rice on to do that. And then I can continue with the curry chicken recipe, which is an all-time favourite for a lot of you. And I know a lot of you have this recipe pre-made and in the freezer, so you can whip up some pies or just have it for dinner. And this recipe uses thigh thighs, so that's what I've got in the TM6 at the moment. Right, now I need to put some fresh water in there. So I use just over a litre of water, so around about 1.1, and it's always cold water. It's never hot water, and it will make a difference with the cooking of your rice if you use hot water. So let me do that. A little bit more. What you're looking for is the measurement on the side of the bowl. I never put the Thermomix on the base station and then pour the water in with another jug because that's just getting something else wet. I just run it under the tap and you're looking for the little measurement up the inside of the bowl, okay? Hello, Victoria. You will be watching the replay later. I'm just putting on some rice because we're going to have Mum's curry chicken pie filling for dinner and we're going to have some rice with it. So I'm just putting the rice on now. Where's my basket? Here we go. Done. And I'll just rinse this lid off. There we have it. And we'll throw in some rice. The container's got a little bit low. Might have to go and get the bag. All right, so I'm just going to weigh this in. Just see how much I've actually got. There we go. Oh, it's only 200 grams. Just hang fire because I've got more rice in the overflow cupboard. Let me just get that out. Oh, where's it gone to? Well, I thought I had more rice. Ah, no, clearly I do not. Actually, I think I put it in another jar. Yes, I do. Here we are. Here we go. See? I have more. This is the overflow. My pantry is stacked. Let me just say that much. Right, put in 300 grams of rice, close to it. Now I use the steaming mode on the 7, which is equivalent to Varoma temperature. 17 minutes, steaming mode, or Varoma temperature, and always speed 4. Always, 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 right? And that allows the water to spin on top of your rice and around your rice before it actually starts to cook. So there we go. Thank you. That's all done. So I'm just going to put it on for 17 minutes. There we go. And speed 4. And just the basket. So on the TM7 you've got the option to select the Varoma dish, the basket or both. So I've just selected the basket. So there we go. That's on cooking. And I don't salt the water. I don't oil the water. I just put in the water. That's all I do. Suzette, my dad's doing really well. He's a little bit wobbly on his feet with his walking because of all the neuropathy from his chemo treatment. But other than that, he's aging. He doesn't enjoy that part. But no, he's doing really, really well. So he's, back driving and doing things and outside in the garden a little bit, but not much, because it's got a little bit much for him. But yeah, he's doing really well. Thanks for asking. Do you defrost the dough, let it prove to double the size and then cook? Absolutely, Diane, that's exactly what you do. So it doesn't actually take very long to defrost once you've got it out of the freezer. So I'll get it out the night before and put it in the fridge, and then I get it out and let it actually defrost a little bit more and then double, and then put it in the oven, right? So you don't realise how much help that actually is, but it is really helpful. All right, the chicken, I didn't put extra time on this, I forgot. So let me just put it back on again. All right, we'll just repeat the step, and I'll make some space here, ready to do the next thing. Okay, now we're going to talk about the yogurt. So this is my favourite milk. This is Ashgrove milk, but a full cream, good quality milk will give you the best yogurt results. And there's always, thank you Suzette, there's always changes in the milk because the cows, they change what they eat. So that makes a difference with, sometimes how the yogurt can turn out. And sometimes people will have changes in their yogurt all of a sudden. Well, that's a little sign to change your starter, or to check on how old your milk powder is. If you've made a batch of yogurt with some milk powder that you already had in the pantry and it's a little bit old, it will get stale. It goes stale within a couple of months, so it doesn't actually last all that long. Even though we still use it for milk, you can use it for milk, but for making yogurt, it's actually not the best. You need the fresh stuff, right? So even use the UHT, which is great. So this can save time because, hello Lottie. This can save time because you don't necessarily have to heat it. But there are times through the year where the UHT milk isn't nice and thick and it's a bit of a slimy texture. In that case, that's when we need to heat the UHT, but it doesn't happen to everybody, so it's hit and miss. But I suggest people actually heat the UHT to guarantee they're going to get great results because it fixes the problem. Yeah. So UHT stands for ultra heat treated. So it's already been treated, it's already been heated up. But sometimes it needs it again. And how do we know? We don't. We don't know. We often just make a batch of yogurt, think it's going to be exactly the same as how we made it before because we're using the same method and recipe. And then next minute, plot twist, you end up with different results, right? Now the milk powder I suggest is the Devondale brand. And the reason I suggest that is for flavour and texture. Now a lot of people use Woolworths brand, which is totally fine if you want to. I just don't like the flavour. So that's why I suggest the Devondale. But sometimes you can't get the Devondale. So you can use the Woolies one if you're in a pinch, right? So that's totally fine. Amy, you're eating the batch of yogurt. So Amy has been using her Thermomix bowl to heat up Nora's milk. And it had gone a little bit dark on the bottom of the bowl. And I said, give me that and I'll take it home and clean it. So I brought the Thermomix bowl home, and then I thought, I may as well give it back to her full of yogurt. So I put on a batch of yogurt in the TM6 for Amy and one for me in the TM7. And when she left today, I packaged up her bowl with the yogurt in it in a cooler bag, and I put it on a front seat with a seatbelt around it. And she just said then, it's absolutely delicious. Oh yes, don't forget the bead. Now I haven't counted last year's. So this was last year's, and I think there's a few missing out of that. Let's do this year's, right? So I haven't put the 2 in that I did 3 days ago. So let me do that. Oh yeah, this one will do. We'll go a smaller jar so it looks like we've got more beads in it. So I'll put in for the last 2, which I did 3 days ago, and then one for tonight. So these are my counters for making yogurt in 2026. Right, so we're up there. Thanks, Dee. And I'm going to count, how many have we got here? Let me count them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Where can I sit them? I'll sit them in this. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 31. And there's probably a couple missing there because I was away in Hobart. So I would say it's between 35 to 40 batches of yogurt for 2025. So there you go. I should have had a guessing competition. All right, we're starting off in 2026 now. So we'll see how many we make. Now, when you use the Aldi milk powder, no problems with that. Awesome. It's great for flavour. Excellent. I'm pleased to hear that. So I've just got the milk powder. That's going to go in. And then that's when I would typically put in the sugar and the vanilla if I was doing vanilla. And then you denature the milk. So this is an important step of doing it in the Thermomix. Now the TM7 has a casing on the outside. So cooling down the milk can take a little bit longer. But I suggest that you put it outside in the cool and then put a cloth over it so no insects get on top of it. It will help it cool down. There's no way of taking the casing off to actually speed up the cooling because you have to release the blade and you'll end up with milk everywhere and you don't want to do that, right? So I'm going to put that on in a second and heat that up and then let it cool down, and then I've got to get a starter out of the freezer. And by the time that's cooled down, my starter will be defrosted. If it's not quite defrosted, it doesn't matter. You can put it in partially frozen. So that's going to be ready to go in. I'll sit that bit there. There we go. And that can go in the dishwasher. There we go. Done. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is the filling for the chicken. So I'll get another container to put this in. We're going to strain off the juice from the chicken, and that's going to go back into the filling. Okay. So I'm just going to use this bowl and I'll just drain off the juice and then we'll keep going. Where's the spatula? Here we go. All right, this has only got 1 minute left to go and the rice is on, so I've just got that on speed 4. So if you missed that, it's 17 minutes, Varoma temperature or steaming mode, speed 4. You've got to have speed 4, nothing less, right? Hello, Bronwyn, nice to see you joining. Oh, it was 4 litres, Nicole. Well, 4.4 litres of yogurt. It was a lot. And you know, there was no difference between the both of them. They were exactly the same. Yep, absolutely. Exactly the same. Right, I'm not waiting 30 seconds for that. That's all done. Let's strain off the liquid, right? Now, I'm just going to point the camera down a little bit so you can see. And this liquid is going to go back into the filling because this is where we've got mega flavour. Okay, so we just keep all of this and then we go into the sautéing, the chopping and the sautéing of the vegetables. So it's quite a lot. Look at that. See? That's all going to, oh, it smells really good, even though it's just chicken and salt and pepper. Now, you can do your chicken like this and put it on a pizza, but during the holidays, I sous vide cooked 2 chicken breasts. I didn't put any seasoning in it other than salt and pepper. I sous vide cooked it and then sliced it up to put it on the pizza. Mwah! It was delicious. Victoria, you haven't done this one. Oh, you haven't done it in a while. Well, that's what I thought too. And I'm like, oh, we need to have this because we haven't had it in a while. There's the nice browning on the bottom. We want to keep all that because that's going to add that flavour. I need a firmer spatula. That one's a bit soft. We're going to keep all that because that's going to add flavour to... Someone's put spatulas away elsewhere in a drawer. I've only got 1 more left in there. I usually have about 5 or 6. Okay, so I'm just going to scrape that off and loosen it, and that'll loosen off a little bit more once we go through and do the chopping and the sautéing. So you can see in there, woohoo, nice and brown, right? Nice and brown. All right, we're putting in some onion and some carrot and lots of butter and Keen's curry powder, because that's what makes this is the hero of this recipe, which is the Keen's curry powder. So that's going into there. And you can get this in the UK. I think you can get it from Amazon. Someone said it's really expensive, but I'm not sure how much it actually costs. So you'd have to go and check that out. All right, we're just going to give that a quick chop. I'll get out of those steps. There we go. A little chop. And I've put the butter in with the veggies to chop them, just because it cuts out a step, right? Once we've done that, now we can saute. So we're going to bring out the flavour of the curry and soften the veggies a little bit. There we go. Oh, there's a piece of carrot in there. It didn't quite get done. I'll turn it up a little bit more. Give that a whiz bang. Sort that out. There we go. Sorted you out. And I'm just going to push everything down so it's closer to the blade and the heating element. And we'll get those flavours happening. Now you can put scallops in this recipe if you want to. You can make the recipe and then drop the scallops in and cook them. Some people have done prawns in them, but my mum used to use this recipe as a base recipe when she cooked at her pub, and everyone would rave about it. Mum didn't put yogurt in hers, but I did. Because you can. Of course you can, right? All right, so the chicken's going to go back in at the end of the recipe, and we can stir it through. Now, can you put raw chicken in this recipe and cook it? Yes, you can. But I prefer to do it like this because of the flavouring and the browning in the bottom of the bowl. Now, if you've got any leftover chicken, so if you've bought, what do they call it, a bachelor's handbag from a local supermarket, which is a roast chook in a bag, you can use some of that chicken and just stir it through when it's hot, so you don't even have to cook the chicken. So you can also do that as well. I've never heard it called a bachelor's handbag before, but anyway, I heard that today. All right, so that's sauteing off for a couple of minutes, and then what we're going to put in next is the sweet potato. So I've just cubed up some sweet potato. You can use pumpkin if you want to, but pumpkin will break down a lot quicker when you start to cook it, so it'll end up a little bit mushy, whereas sweet potato holds really well. So that's another reason why I put sweet potato in it, but you can use pumpkin in it. You can even leave it out if you want to. Just put more peas and corn in it, and or you can put other veggies in it if you like. So it's really quite forgiving, this recipe. Now let me just check the cake. That's only got another 3 minutes left to go, and that's ready to come out. So I'm just going to get a cake cooler ready. And then we've got some milk and some yogurt and some chicken stock paste to go into the curry as well. So that's already in here, ready to go. So I've got that done. I'll set that over there, and then I'll get the cake cooler here, ready to take the cake out. Right, I've got it all covered tonight. I'm doing well. It's only 7 o'clock. Woohoo! You never heard that before, Victoria? Ah, there you go. You can do that now. So if you guys like seafood, you can incorporate that into this recipe if you want to. So instead of the chicken, you can do it seafood. There you go. If you've got any questions about it, just let me know. All right. The next thing we've got going is rice has only got 2 minutes left to go. This is sauteing with 1 minute left to go. And this is where, if it was Friday night, I'd take a sip. I'd take a sip of my drink. All right, we're going to recycle our milk container. And this is where the Thermomix gives you a bit of time back to tidy up or have a sip, right? Kim, I am a little bit organised tonight. Mind you, when I come home this afternoon with having time with Amy and Nora, I had to lay down and have a little rest. So my other hip has given me problems now, so I've actually booked in to have that one done this year as well. So I'm getting it all out of the way, so I'm all stations go for when baby number 2 arrives. So there's lots happening. Lots happening. Oh, thanks, Victoria. Organised Jeanette for a change. It's sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. Now, whilst I'm doing this, can be my ad break. If many of you haven't used your blade cover and peeler yet to do your garlic, please have a go at doing it. So what you can do is use your blade cover peeler to peel heads of garlic. I'll continue with that in a second. So if you have a blade cover peeler and you're not using it much, this is another thing that you can use it for. So this is what you need, and you can use this in a TM5, TM6 or a TM7. It's the exact same blade cover peeler, right? Hello there, Donna. Good to see you on. All right, this is sauteed now. Now we're just going to put the sweet potato in, and I'm actually, no, I better not put the flour in just yet. So we'll do that one for a couple of minutes as well, just to get some heat into it. So essentially this is what happens when you put the sweet potato in. It warms up and starts the cooking process before you put everything else in, right? Kim, I know the feeling. You had your granddaughters today and now you're absolutely stuffed. It's a real thing, isn't it? Oh, we have to remember we're not 25 anymore. Rightio. Garlic. So you take the base off. So you where it's been in the ground, where the roots have been in the ground, you cut that off. Right. I haven't really got the ideal knife here. So what you want to expose is a little bit of the flesh on the garlic. Now, if you can't quite get it off like that, just separate them and do them individually. Right, there's the cake. The cake's ready. So you can see there, I've missed it slightly. So I just want to cut that little bit off there. So that will actually let go of the skin when you put it into the Thermomix with the blade cover. So you want to remove all that. My cake's calling me. I just want to get the cake out, right? We'll check and see it's right, which I think it is. Woohoo. Oh no, it needs another 5 minutes. There we go. We'll put it in for another, I'll do 4 minutes. There we go. Done. Okay. Continue on with my garlic. So I'm just going to take the ends of these off. Well, that one's nearly peeled. So your garlic will be different. Every time you buy it, the skins will either be loose or tight. So separate them all. I've got some older, here's some that I got off Michelle and John recently. Thank you so much. It's still got the roots on it. Look at that. She had a huge haul of garlic. And Jeanette, would you like some? I'm like, yes, please. That would be lovely. I'm going to trim that off. So where you can see it's been in the ground, you want to take that off. And so once you've gone through all your garlic, you just put it into your Thermomix on top of your blade cover and you peel it for like 45 seconds. And all the skins float to the top of the water, and then you can pull out the garlic. And then once you've done that, you can keep it. So this is what mine looks like now. I put it in little jars. So these are the mustard jars because I use a lot of mustard in my recipes. I keep these jars. And then you can put your garlic in here with the olive oil. And when you need a clove of garlic, you can just scoop one out and put it into the Thermomix and chop it. And it's actually infusing the oil as well. Win-win, right? More bang for your buck, which is what I like. We like more bang for the buck, right? And then you can use your Thermomix a little bit more as well. Right, I'm going to set that aside and finish doing that later. And I'll have some more garlic on hand, right? So if you haven't thought to do that, give it a go, right? How much water do you need? Vicky, good question. So it's 600 grams of water, which is just past the half-litre mark. So that's what you're looking for in your bowl. But if you go to the peeler mode on your Thermomix, you'll actually see that behind the tips of how much water to use, but that's how much I use, okay? I hope that's helpful, and let me know. Let me know how you go with that, right? All right, we've got rice there done. I'll show you that in a second. Oh yes, we've got sweet potato cooking off there, and now what we're going to put in is the flour and cook that off a little bit. So typically it's making a roux. So there's a fair bit of, it's 95 degrees in there, so we put this on again. On reverse, don't forget reverse. Just to cook the flour off a little bit. And then in goes all the wet ingredients and the peas and the corn and the capsicum. That's all going to go in as well with the milk and the yogurt. And that's it. So you just put it on to cook. The other thing that goes in is this, right? Which is your liquid stock. Don't forget that. Right, I'm just going to take that off. Put that on top. Now while that's doing that, I'm waiting to bring this cake out. I wanted to show you something tonight. About the vacuum seal containers. So a lot of you have these. I might have to add that to the next book. Yes, Dee. With these vacuum seal containers, there's two sizes. This is the 1.3 litre, and then you can get a smaller one. Let me show you the smaller one. It's in the fridge with prunes in it. Right. There we go. So that's the smaller one. So you can see the size difference. So these are a bundle pack that you can add to a Thermomix order at the moment for $59. And you get a little wand that removes the air, right? So that's your little wand. Now I was thinking the other day, because I thought, oh, I need the smaller container to put some things in, but they were all in the fridge being used. And I came up with this idea. I'm like, oh, I can still use the big container, but what you do is if you've only got a small amount of something and you still want to vacuum seal it, you put it into like a little dish or something to hold it. And then you just sit that in there and you put a lid on and then you vacuum seal it. So you don't actually get the vacuum seal container dirty. And I'm like, that's genius, because you don't really need the small container. You can still use the big one. So I mean, that was a light bulb moment for me. I'm not sure about you guys, but now I'm like, I don't have to worry about what size I need. I can just put it into a little dish and then put the dish inside the container, right? So thinking outside the square. You like the idea, Raylene, with the garlic? Awesome. You grew some and you've picked it and it's ready to save. Awesome. Excellent. We'll have a go at doing that. There we go. So I've just vacuum sealed those ingredients that are in there, but it's not going to make my container dirty. See? That's a bit clever. I hope you like that little tip as well. Right. Okay, the cake is done. That's my infomercial. Let's have another go at getting this out. Oh yeah, that looks a little bit better. Oh, it's still a little bit wet on top. All right, we'll just give it that extra minute that I said it didn't need. There we go. Then we'll be right. Let's go back to this one. All right, so we've got, you can see there, we've got the roux made, okay? Now, we're just going to put in the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to put in the liquids. So in goes the yogurt and the milk and the chicken stock paste. Right. And then in goes the liquid stock. And I'm just going to move that around a little bit just to distribute it in the bowl. Right. Just so it makes it easier for the blade to mix it through. And then I'm just going to put in, I should have put the peas and corn in earlier. That's just frozen peas and corn. And then capsicum. And that's it. I love the capsicum in this recipe. Green capsicum doesn't taste the same as the red capsicum in this recipe. And then we put that on to cook. Now be careful not to get the curry powder on your bench because it will stain. There we go. Wipe that up straight away. Any idea when the cutter for the 7 will come for purchase? They've told us this year. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the first quarter of this year, Diane. I'm hoping, right? The only time you can get it at the moment is if you host a demo, you can get it for $249. Or if you have someone buy at your Thermomix demo, you can get it for $149, which is great, right? So, I mean, that's the only way for us to actually get one to you at the moment. So, you don't have to have anyone that buys the Thermomix at your demo, but if you've got a friend that's interested in the 7 or interested in learning more about the Thermomix and understanding it before they make a purchase decision, the demos are great. And if you'd like to do that with your consultant, you can do it with any consultant really. It's entirely up to you. You can do it with me or whoever, right? Okay, let's put this in. I haven't put the chicken in yet, so we let all of this cook off first before we put the chicken in. So there's my cake. It's got to come out now, surely. Right, we'll put that on for 10 minutes, I think it is. And just on soft stir. Actually, no, it's speed 1 on reverse. Just so that we can combine the flour with the liquids, right? Okay, come on, third time lucky. Third time lucky. Yes, that's all it needed. There we go. All done. Ha-ha! There we go. All finished. Right, so I'm just gonna release that whilst you're still with me. You're supposed to let it sit for a little bit before you take the springform tin off, but let's live on the edge, right? Yvonne, does the 5 fits the 7? Do the 6 fit the 7? No, the cutter for the 6 doesn't fit the 7, and the reason why is because the new locking system on the lid. So they had to redesign the cutter to be compatible with the new locking system on the TM7. Right, so good question. All right, let's release this. Now you can see this is starting to drop a little bit, and as it cools, it evenly, oh my gosh, there goes the dog. It evenly drops, right? It's not just in the middle. So let's release that. Let me get my little tool out. I use this for lots of things. There we go. Yes, it's not sticking. It's all good. There we go. Oh, a little bit come off the side. I'll poke that back on. That's because I was a bit rough. All right, so there we have our chocolate cake. I'll leave it on there to settle a little bit before I take it off the base. But there you have it. Makes perfect muffins or cupcakes if you want to turn them into cupcakes. All right, so JP's melt and mix cake. Next thing to go on that is the ganache once it's cooled down. And then I'm actually going to cut this up once it's, tomorrow. I'll cut it up, I'll slice it up, and I'll portion it out and wrap it up in Glad wrap and freeze it. And that's going to be our portion control. That'll be our portion control. All right, this is on cooking now for 10 minutes. And then we do another extended cooking for like another couple of minutes. The chicken's going to go in. That's going to warm through all of that mixture. Let me show you the rice before we go. I'll move this cake over there. So a lot of people say that their rice is not cooking either in the 6 or the 7, and I think the difference is cooking it at 100 degrees or on Varoma temperature. So you can see there, it's beautifully cooked, right? So there's no pieces in the centre that haven't been cooked at all. So can you see that? You probably can. Here we go. So we give it a little stir. Beautiful. And I'm just going to leave it in there until we're ready to eat it, because it'll keep it nice and warm and I don't have to put it in the thermo server. So there we have it. Perfect rice every single time. No problem, right? All right, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's live. If you're watching the replay, hello to you. I will upload this on YouTube, so you can go back and watch the replay. Facebook will delete my content after 30 days, so any lives that I do will disappear after 30 days from today's date. So that's why I pop them up on YouTube, so that we can hold them there and have a little library, all right? Amy, you'll be around for morning tea tomorrow. Okay, no worries. I've got some gear for you to pick up. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow night for a drink at the sink. And we'll be cooking up some other delicious recipes from the cookbooks, and I'll have a reveal of the yogurt, because I'm going to put that on tonight once I've actually, I can put it on now. Look at that. Let's put it on now. So we're just going to do the manual steps. So this is for 31, for a 5, a 6 or a 7, okay? So I'm just going to go to manual and put it on for the amount of time that I need. There we go. Done. All done. All sorted. Ready to go. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow night. Okay, bye.